Prophecy of the 1980s, we're talking about 40 years ago. An event in the Tigris River will break the mark of the beast, the seal of the Antichrist, that is. And this was originally posted January 1st, 2020. With emerging cataclysmic developments in the Middle East and in its wider region, hence the Eastern Mediterranean, words that we heard in a sunless cave in the foothills of Mount Athos of northern Greece in the Garden of the Virgin Mary came to mind. The 80s and a good friend brought us into God's communion with a saintly ascetic, a hermit, and here we have reached it's better for personal experience to speak. Dr. Konstantin Varvakas, the theologian, writes, "Those were the days when socialism in Greece flirted with the Delors package of the European Union and was preparing to push our lives into the meat machine of the new age. In other words, in short, everything looked great and the vast majority were getting ready to live the coming European Union dream, but no one knew how. At that time, there was no internet either. The information was transmitted with a time delay somewhere. Somewhere we learned something that Saint Paisios, the elder, told his spiritual children in his little hut in Panaguda. During those years, what would come next seemed unimaginable. It's possible that St. George, the confessor of drama, and Elder Philotheos Zervakos and other fathers from previous decades advised the close circle of their spiritual children about the same thing, telling them what they saw, what they foresaw, and received as information from above. Hence, that a black cloud started from Europe and is slowly coming towards Greece, but the majority of the world and the ecclesiastical factors could not understand anything of what started then, and today our own generations are experiencing them. The black cloud not only came and sat over Greece, but it gives strong and unprecedented showers, the demonic showers that St. Paisios were referring to. The spiritual messes of humanity brought about the great homicidal war that's about to break out. In the 1980s, in this agnostic landscape, we found ourselves outside a cave whose stone door was hidden by a huge fragrant bush. And below, the void of the cliff disappeared and caused the visitors vertigo. Inside, I was saying to my friend, "Where have you brought me now in the summer sun?" questioning his words to me on the uphill come and see. Anyway, we arrived but found nothing. And again, the no trouble calculation, I began to resent it, and we sat down to rest until we took the steep descent, which was more dangerous than the ascent. As soon as I got up from the rock that rested us for a while, we heard a thin voice about 50 meters above us. "Don't be in a hurry, lads. I'm carrying water and I'm coming." What we saw was like what we read later about the shaggy, invisible ascetics on Mount Athos. The monk, while he was away, was next to us in a flash with the flasks of water, and we were already receiving his blessing. Probably it's from our tiredness we saw what we saw, I said to myself, and got over the surprise. The conversation didn't last long. First of all, because we didn't start with a specific questionnaire to the elder, but we went to get his wish, his blessings, and take him some supplies. After all, the hermit was in a hurry to return to the spring again to carry more water that he needed for the lovely garden he had made in front of his ascetic palace. Already the sun began to sink into the horizon, and from below the blue Aegean, and from above the huge Mount Athos, a point of settlement and contact with God. This peace that now surrounds us, lavenders, will be abruptly interrupted, just as the sealing of humanity with the infamous number of the Antichrist will be interrupted, the elder told us. We open a parenthesis for the younger readers. At the time, we knew little about the seal of the Antichrist. The signs of the times, handwritten text of St. Paisios, had not been released yet. And the hermit, the ascetic, added, "Lots of money, lots of packages, lots of programs will overwhelm Greece. Flee and separate yourselves from sin and as you flee from the serpent. The coming years will flow with greed, fornication, indifference, heresy, and error. These will be the principles of civilization they will bring so as to seal the world like the animals so as not to lose it. All this will be done to make it easier for man to go more comfortably to hell. And while the intelligence sealing on the planet will begin to produce its results, a certain event there in Mesopotamia at the Tigris River, between the Tigris and the Euphrates, the biblical designation of the earthly paradise of the first created Adam and Eve, will stop it, he said. The sealing will be broken by the great war that comes after, following the ignition of one Christian orthodoxy, and the end times, and the end comes with the final Antichrist. End quote. All of this above is also known by other holy fathers who predicted it to us, but this ascetic determined it for us, that the global effort to seal humanity with the seal of the Antichrist and the seal of the beast will be interrupted by a specific event that will take place in Mesopotamia and even in the Tigris River. The fact also that the capital of Iraq, Baghdad, is built on the banks of the Tigris River, and further down it joins with the Euphrates River to both end up in the Persian Gulf. Geographical identification of the biblical area of Mesopotamia with the great ancient civilizations are troubled and remind us of these words of the ascetic, the elder. Is it now that one does not believe, or at least be troubled by the prophetic words of St. Cosmas of northern Greece of Etolos? When you hear that the war is caught from below, then it will be close, he said. Freedom comes from below where the waters pour, from the book of Cosmas, St. Cosmas Etolos, written by Metropolitan Florus Augustinus. The original sin was committed in the heavenly space of these well-known rivers that later hosted great empires that dried up as grass. Today, a small and insignificant river a little further in the parts of Palestine, the Jordan River, turns back due to sin, the salty sea of our flowing life, and becomes the cause of salvation of mankind with theophany of our Lord Jesus Christ, which is in a few days, the baptism of Jesus Christ, who received humbly the baptism through the ordination of the Holy Forerunner. This unimaginable mystery of the baptism of our Lord is overseen by the theophany of the Holy Trinity, which continues to oversee and guide the historical steps of the entire creation of this world. And this is by Dr. Konstantin Vardakis, a theologian. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support, and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.